Hey everyone, welcome to the Bible Belt Bros podcast. It's a Monday for you as you're listening, a Friday for us as we're recording. And Andrew, school's out
for the summer.
Yeah, none of us are teachers though, so that doesn't really mean anything to us.
Nope, I still go to work every day.
But school's out, summer started. Our storms here in Oklahoma, they are starting later than normal. It's
They started.
Doesn't it normally start like May-ish?
Yeah, we had a lot of rain and storms in May.
Well, I just meant like the tornado stuff, like the.
Well, we had it then too. It's just carrying on later into the year for us.
Okay, I'm thinking it's not as hot as it usually is by now, and so right. These storms are taking forever. This tornadic activity.
Yeah.
We had some big, 2 a.m. or what is it? 4 a.m. had the little message that the tornado watch storm blowing through.
I just slept the whole time.
I actually woke up to it, but it was really cool lightning and thunder and a lot of wind, but no tornadoes.
Yeah.
For us.
I guess I did wake up and listen for like a couple minutes, but then I went right back to sleep.
We're alive, so another podcast it is. Today, Andrew, I want to talk about just the summer slump that churches go through.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to figure out words and like vacation, VBSs, and vanishing church members.
Okay.
Or volunteers, I guess that would be another V, vanishing volunteers. Either way, the VVVs of the summer, and just talking about how there usually tends to be like a summer slump, especially in church. And I see it in youth ministry a lot, like right. The amount of kids that when school's not around, they're not getting their friends to come on Wednesdays, and so there's just a little bit more of a slump that happens. Plus, people are traveling, so we're just going to kind of go through the good reasons and the bad reasons and the made-up reasons and the...
So we know what Rusty's going to be preaching on here soon, choosing other priorities over God.
Yeah, you don't put God first, you put God only.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
See, that's going to be his sermon. Pray in a couple weeks. See, Rusty, we do know you.
We do know you. Let's just go into it. So, reasons people are missing church right now. One, we were like super down on Youth Wednesday because of, 20-something people being gone from youth at a mission trip.
Yeah, they're doing a mission trip.
So, I think that's a valid excuse.
Reason. I wouldn't say excuse. That's a reason. An excuse is typically, it's a lie disguised as a reason. This is not a lie disguised as a reason. This is just a reason.
We have Rusty on the podcast one time, and now we're using all of his...
his sayings. That's right.
Okay. Yeah, okay. We got a reason for them to be gone, which is church mission trips.
With that, we had great attendance. We have 30-something kids gone on this mission trip, plus majority of the adult leaders. And our Wednesday attendance was phenomenal.
We're still like, what, in the 40s, 45s?
It was, I don't know. It
as
blew
kids,
me away.
Not before leaders?
Right. It blew me away with how many kids were there because, again, it's summertime. So normally the kids' routine is they get out of school. Some of them just go straight to the church, have youth, then go home.
Right.
This, they were out having fun all day, swimming.
They got to stop what they're doing.
Right, to come to church.
Yeah.
So that's actually a big praise and success and shows what type of ministry we have. In my opinion, It's a great ministry.
Okay, well that
kind of
sideways.
That kind of blew your point out of the water, but
there's still time, Andrew, for the slump to happen. But I do want to pause for a second. So we were joking around about mission trips, and we've been on quite a few mission trips.
Yes.
With different organizations that lead it, different churches that lead it, different youth pastors that are in charge of putting it together. Like there's kind of a mission trip, kind of just depends on who's in charge,
right?
To define how much mission is involved, in a mission trip. So what's kind of some of the more intentional mission trips that you've been on?
Peru, 100%.
Okay.
So the first time I went to Peru, we did ministry every single day. There was not really any time that we weren't awake, that we weren't ministering. Whether it was street theater or street talking to people on the street or going door to door and knocking. That was probably the most intentional that I can remember.
Okay.
Even the second time I went, when I just went by myself, I went and I was with a local pastor, and it was, again, nonstop ministry. We bought out a bread bakery and then stood on the corner and gave out free bread and told everybody how Jesus was the bread of life and talked to people. We went to Mother Teresa's hospital there and ministered and helped. We set up for VBS and led VBS. I actually preached, which was weird. To adults. I've preached to kids, but preached to adults. That was my first time and kind of weird, but
never again.
Right? But I was the American, and they wanted to hear from the American, and so they heard from the American. We went in and assisted with some tent revivals. I mean, at times to Peru have been very intentional in missions. Now, I went to Honduras a couple years ago, and no shade to that trip or anything, but there was not a lot of ministry. There was a lot of downtime. There was, I mean, I suppose you could consider us roofing a school ministry and rewiring a barn or getting power to a barn as ministry. That's just not the ministry I'm used to, and it's not really sharing the word. It's maybe showing love.
Okay, so then that takes away, because my answer to what was the probably more intentional was one year we went to Mexico. I'm pretty sure you were there.
Yes.
But I was saying it was intentional because I was a part of like the building team. So every day I was like, we're building that orphanage. And so,
Yep, I was part of that.
Yeah, you were part of that. And so that just like, that was hard labor every day. But like you're saying, was not necessarily door-to-door ministry. Like the kids were doing that. I don't remember what they were doing. I know they did a VBS.
They were doing a VBS.
But I don't know if they did anything else besides that.
No,
I had to like lead worship in a Spanish song. Remember we learned children's songs in Spanish and sang them in a church. And I'm like, do they just like think we're dum-dums that all we can sing is these kids songs?
I got rescued from that. I do remember learning him, but I got rescued from that trip because, we had to get the roof on that orphanage, and so I stayed behind.
And I play guitar. So.
Yep. And so you had to go, and I stayed behind.
Dang it.
So.
But I do remember that, and I was kind of like slumming it a little bit when we were on our sleeping quarters. It wasn't like this, we're staying in a nice hotel or anything on the floor. Like that. We're sleeping on the floor, Yep.
In a hot room.
I would say on that mission trip we had one day, I think, that I can remember where it was going to be a free day. We're going to go to the beach. 30 minutes in, some kid jumps on my back because she can't swim and starts to drown me, and I have to like throw her off my back as I'm like almost dead. And luckily, I yelled Jonathan, and two Jonathans came my direction and helped get that girl. And as I swam to the shore, and then the rest of the day was like, the water can't go past your ankles.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a fun beach day. So
it was still fun for me because I still got to go in.
Yeah, your dad was there as a separate leader from a separate church, and he's like, I don't care what you guys say. We're going to past our knees. My dad goes,
is she your mom? I said, nope. And he said, okay.
Oh, good times. But a lot of these mission trips, they tend to become, I think, maybe I'm just biased because I'm like, especially nowadays.
Or jaded.
Back in our day, I remember like we do mission trips to Houston and stuff, and the same thing. Like sleeping quarters were on the floor. We had rats, like dead rats that we would find, like in the buildings that we were in. Like the shower situation was very rough. Like in Mexico, I think we had a shower outside. We had the outdoor showers that we had to like had those water bags that would heat up in the day. I actually don't
remember that. It's kind of coming back, but
you know the PVC pipe thing we built and then it had like a thing over. So maybe it is more of like back in my day, and I just don't realize how much actual fun we had on those trips as well. But
yeah, they were fun.
They were all fun. But like now you hear like mission trips, and then there's like, we're gonna do a vacation Bible school, and then we're going ziplining, and then tomorrow we're gonna wake up, do our Bible study. We're gonna do vacation Bible school, and then we're gonna go to the go-karts. You know, like it just feels like that's like the stand.
Right.
Like it's becoming more of the vacation ministry
rather than the Bible school ministry part.
But again, maybe that's me now 40 years old trying to just remember the 90s were different anyway.
But also
Andrew,
think about the 40-year-olds then when we were going on our trips, and they were probably saying the same thing. Oh, you're having more fun than ministering.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, but no, I mean, we had fun because we always made fun out of any situation we were in.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I was listening to some comedian, and he was talking about how, like, we used to, it was before we were like the last generation before true internet came out for our childhood.
Right.
Because I remember when we would get those 15 minutes of free internet in the mail on a compact disc.
AOL discs.
Yeah, I remember that coming out, and that was towards the end of high school. And so we are old. And
Yes.
so all of that to say that we were able to entertain ourselves without having much around us.
Right.
All you needed was a ball, and you could make a game out of it.
Do you remember that Bible study we did, Step Off?
Yes.
Where we had to give up technology?
Yeah.
I don't think we could do that today.
Today would be very hard.
Yeah, that.
See, I did it back 2000, probably 5, 6, 7, somewhere around that range.
We did that in 2001, 2002, because my mom led the class.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I did that.
Oh, you did it again?
I led that when I was at Angus for a while.
Okay. Yeah, dude, that was, and we thought it was tough then, and all we had were those little Nokia phones that had Snake on them.
I can't text my friends.
Yeah, and so it was tough, and we really we grew out of that spiritually still. But man, think about it today, because I mean they're giving up all social media. They'd be giving up.
Yeah, Step Up was a 30-day fast, but it was a media fast.
Yes.
TV, movies, internet, anything that was non-essential. Video games.
Right. Because you say internet, we did have internet, but it was limited at that time anyway. So
right.
It was video games. Yeah.
You definitely didn't have internet on your
radio,
phone.
Everything.
Yeah, radio. It was really just focusing on all those times you could be
in the Word.
In the Word.
Yes. I loved it. That was my favorite Bible study in youth. It was great. But anyways.
Yeah, we used to entertain ourselves. And so
yes.
I part of that is we could just go to the park, and that was a fun day for us, you know, and just we hang out at the park, and then kids at the park would be there, and then we'd be playing basketball, people, and that's our ministry. You know, we didn't have to have VBS every time. Maybe we're just old.
Kind of like those inner city mission trips that we used to do to St. Louis and Houston. Mm-hmm. You know, we'd go to the projects, we would minister, and then we would go to the park afterwards, but we would continue ministering there.
Right.
And so
some of those people would go meet back at the park again.
Yeah.
You know, later. But then that was considered our fun time.
Right.
You guys aren't leading the Bible study. You're just out there hanging out with the peoples.
But we were still sharing. And so it was nice. Sharing and caring.
Okay. Those are some, I guess, good reasons. You know, mission trips, church camps. Even a family vacation is not a bad reason to miss church.
Right.
I'm saying that because I'm getting ready to go on one.
So yeah? Where are you going?
Going to Seattle, Washington area, Olympic National Park, I think is what it's called.
I don't want any Starbucks. Keep it
there.
No,
yeah, we're going 4 hours from Seattle. But,
okay.
But national parks. It's national parks every year is what we try to do.
Yeah. I knew that. I just didn't know which parks you were going to this year. This year, or if we go on one, we're going east.
Okay.
Like Appalachia.
That is a good reason to, family is important, and it's good to get away, you know, and kind of get a break from everything. Still check in online with your services.
Right. Per Rusty. As I point to an empty chair that he's not sitting in. But so also on that, we still go to church. We just honestly, I call Rusty. I say, hey, this is where I'm at. Tell me a church, and he will tell me.
I don't do that, but I am kind of in the middle of nowhere. So I might not even have cell service where I'm at.
Just go to a mountain church. I'm sure there's
Listen,
something.
man, when you're in the mountains and in the woods.
And God's creation.
In God's creation, you're in the original church of Adam and Eve. That's all you need. The rocks will cry out
where
to
two
him,
or
man.
three are gathered.
Yeah, exactly. Reasons not to miss maybe is how many times have you heard this? Oh, my kid's got a ball tournament in 2 hours from here, so we got to get out there. I can't get to the get to church, but we'll watch it online. Don't worry, we'll watch it on.
Funny thing is, a lot of times, I'll log in and they won't be there online either.
Like you do see, we can see when you're online. Facebook says, "Hey, Jeff is here." You know, like, come on.
Right, you're not here, Jeff.
So soccer, any kind of sport, really.
Right.
But baseball's a very high
common, especially in the summer. Softball, baseball,
And then there's also there's some lake people out there that might be at a
lot of lake, especially since we are 10 minutes from the lake.
So that's what's funny is we're only 10 minutes from the lake. We can't wait.
Right. That's actually how I became a Christian.
Is going to the lake?
Yes. It was Andrew Freeman invited me. Well, I said, hey, man, you want to go to the lake Sunday? He goes, I got church. And he goes, why don't you come to church and we'll go afterwards? I was like, well, that sounds lame. And originally I said no. But I was like, you know what? I want to go to the lake. So sure, I'll go to church. And as soon as he says amen, we're out of there. And that's that story. And here I am.
And then here you are.
Years later.
And then we finally became friends.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have any Christian friends. And
That's right. So Dusty was my first Christian. Well, I mean, there was Freeman, but
probably somebody said, you need to hang out with Andrew. He needs some friends, and I can't say no to things. And so then I hung out with
that's
Andrew.
100%
Plus,
how that
I didn't
happened.
really have friends. And then there's some people that just don't even know that church exists on July.
Right.
So they're just
June,
like,
July, August.
wait,
Church
you guys still do
closes.
this thing?
Yeah.
I thought it closed like the schools did. I think
Yeah.
I thought Sunday school and regular school all closed at the same time. They had the same schedules.
Yeah. Church is still open on the June, July, August time frames. But we do other things to try and reach out to people, like the Father's Day stuff. And it depends on if the 4th lands on a Sunday or not. I mean, there might be a 4th of July celebration at your church. I remember, our church, we would always gather our, not necessarily make it a church function, but everybody that was at our 4th of July celebration was from our church. So it seemed like it was our church doing it.
Just the people you liked.
Right. No, there were people there I didn't like too.
Now, I remember I grew up back in my Iowa days, I grew up in a town of 500 people. And so it felt like there was a lot more full church functions, in the afternoons. Like the most common one in Iowa was like church sledding day. And so you'd have people bring out their 4-wheelers, go out to this land where there's huge hills, and they'd pull you back up to the top of the hill to go back down on your tubes and stuff. And I just remember like that being like just the community aspect of a smaller church like that.
That's just a small town.
Yeah, that is a small town more than a small church.
I mean, when you have 500 people show up to your birthday party, dude, that's just a small town.
Yeah. How did I only have 3 people show up? Somebody else had the same birthday, probably, I guess.
Yeah. 100% what it was.
That's what it was. It was pretty much one church, one big church in the town, and then everybody just hang out afterwards. The good old days.
That's right.
I think Aurora was kind of the similar. That was a town of 7,000. We still had like block parties and things like that we would do as a church. I don't know as much about big church gatherings, but that's where on the flip side, more church league softball, church league basketball, those things were a lot more common and popular than what it is.
What's crazy is a lot of those games are on Sundays also.
That's what I mean. Like Sunday was like all like church, like
but see, we had Sunday night church also.
Oh, that's true.
But softball league was Sundays.
Well, I remember like my Sundays used to be like you had church, and then at noon you went out to eat, and then you had like maybe church league basketball at like 2 or 3. You might even have like a band practice for rehearsal for Wednesday before the church at 6. And Sundays were usually set. Like for me growing up, was all day was church.
It was
stuff.
church day, yeah.
You either had church league softball that night after the 6 o'clock service, or you had basketball leagues, starting maybe in the afternoon. So there was just always something going on a Sunday for church. And I remember like even like our senior celebration stuff when we graduated, like
oh yeah,
I remember that was a big deal. Like
that was a Saturday,
you and I were up all night, didn't go to bed, still hit church in the morning, and we still had like all the other church stuff.
Yep,
like
it
we
was
went
still
like 2 days no sleeping.
Yep.
And of course everybody's like, that's so great of you guys to do that. I don't know. That might have been stupid.
It was really stupid, probably.
Like, I'm still recovering from it.
20-something years later, we're still recovering from that one night.
But Andrew, how in the summer, what are some ways that you can still, because things are going to happen where you can't come to church.
Right.
Where there's not every reason you miss church is a bad reason. Even going to the lake and stuff like that, those are all like good things, and sometimes schedule-wise can't make it work. But how are some ways that you can continue to stay involved? Because I do know, like, volunteer-wise, when you're needing volunteers for things, you're going to like the simplest form of the band sometimes, because you just don't have enough people, especially our youth band. Like, nobody wants to play on Wednesdays, always want to play on Sundays.
Skeletal crew. Yeah, so honestly, if you know you're going to miss, just find somebody to replace you. Help out your team leaders.
Yeah. Okay, so we had an Easter episode where we were like, everybody, don't click decline, black out a date.
Yes.
Now our summer is like, all right, everybody.
Don't black anything out.
Don't black anything out. If you do, maybe help out finding somebody as a replacement and not just throw that back on your leader's face, because he's struggling, or she.
That's right.
Is struggling trying to find people to fill in for you.
You're going through that training right now, aren't you? You're going to be scheduling.
Yeah, I mean, I currently already kind of, I don't schedule the people, but I pick but I'm banned. Everybody wants to. Everybody's like, why don't you schedule me more?
Oh, you rock stars, you.
Yeah, well, it's a performance thing in front of people. Everybody wants to do it that can sing. So even people that can't sing.
Are you calling out Megan again?
No. Megan, Sydney, if you're listening.
You're not joining the band.
You're close. You're close. You bring the energy, and that counts.
So, yeah, obviously, find somebody. The easiest thing to help out is just find somebody to replace you that is willing to replace you and will be there, not somebody who will be at the lake with you.
Try not to find the same person.
Right.
I think that was our volunteer burnout. Like, don't go like, hey, Jeff's going to be there again this Sunday, so let's just, let's just ask Jeff again. He'll do it.
Yeah, so speaking of that, I've been scheduled every Sunday this month again, because people are just gone, and I'm all reliable. I'm always going to be there.
Andrew doesn't have a life. He'll do it.
Yep, 100% how it goes.
And he doesn't want to go sitting there anyway, so he'll just...
Right.
Is it for security?
No, I actually dropped
off.
I
know. That's what I was wondering.
No, it's all KTM. But actually, most of it's just check-in. I don't have to do the runner part, and so I will miss the music, but then I'll be in for the message.
Oh, convenient.
So, I know how convenient.
Yeah, that's great.
Shucks. Anyways, another way you can participate is participate online. We've kind of already talked about that. Or find a church near you, wherever you're going to be, and participate there.
Yeah, and I think participating online is good, especially if you're commenting. If you're somebody that just watches online, it doesn't really...
If you're multitasking and,
Yeah.
doing work and watching online, it's kind of going to lose its luster there.
Well, I meant even just on the trying to get the word out of church. We do our church check-in where everybody's tagging the church.
Yeah.
When you comment on church videos, that helps share it to your network of people.
Right.
And so if you're not going to be there, then interact with the chat, help the algorithm out. Don't just watch it and disappear, and that doesn't do anything for the church channel. But if you want to actually do a little bit more than just watch and engage in the chat, that's then going to help other people see it,
get connected.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything else that we can do to get more involved?
It's hard to be involved when you're not there. If the question is how to get involved when you're not there, then no. Honestly, just be there. Delay your fun plans and go worship God, and then go have fun.
I'm going to say something quite controversial, and maybe my wife will, one, she'll be like, you're not going to do this, and then two, be like, if we do this, I'm going to kill you. But it's a suggestion I just Googled and saw was that, Sundays isn't the only time, we just talked about this, that the church can get together. And so maybe our schedules on the weekends, especially because you don't have work and you can get out and vacations, try to do something with your core group of friends from church, your house church. Well, yes, but not in a... One thing that bugs me all the freaking time. Okay, I'm on a soapbox because I know Randall's going to listen, right? Okay, Randall's listening. Here we go. Why does everything have to have a devotion and a prayer time? We're just here to practice 4 songs and go and make sure everybody's on the same page. Why do we have to do all this extra stuff? So, why does maybe this is a bad take. I don't know. But why does everything that Christians do when they come together have to be so extra Christian and always has to have this devotion to leads
it doesn't have to be, but that is our church. That is what you have subscribed to, Dusty, at our church.
It's so extra.
Our pastor is
it's
extra.
So extra. It's just so extra. It's just...
Can you not pray with me for an hour?
Well,
another Rusty.
It's 5 minutes, or whatever. But it's all right, Randall, I'm just going to complain, and I'm just going to use your name, okay? So just deal with it.
Suck it up, Randall.
Write it in the comments, but still give 5 stars.
And share it. That helps our algorithm.
Yeah. No, we had rehearsal, right? And basically, it's just people haven't been practicing, I guess, and so now we got to have another day of practicing. Usually I get out of it because whenever I lead on Sundays, we do the same songs on Wednesdays, so we keep the kind of same band together. And so I don't have to do a Wednesday, Thursday, and a Sunday. So we get there. Supposed to start at 6. People are rolling in 6:10, 6:15. Johnny's eating his dinner still.
Right.
I'm I haven't had dinner yet. We're supposed to get through this. It should be 30 minutes. Yep. That's all that we're doing.
Sounds like Sunday mornings too.
So yeah, exactly. And that's another reason why we have to be here Thursday, because people don't show up on time on Sunday. And then instead of just not scheduling those people, they
Make it inconvenient for the people who do show up.
And then there's people that aren't as experienced as me. I get that. So that they need that extra.
Guys, Dusty is a rock star.
No, I'm not.
If you need a birthday party or a revival or anything, call Dusty. He is a rock star.
My fees are on my website. No, I'm joking.
And he doesn't have a website, so he doesn't charge.
So there's no fees. So then we start late, and then it's like, all right, now we can get started. And the Thunder games come, like, there's things to do. I'm hungry still. I want to have dinner. And then it's like, all right, well, before we can get started, anybody got prayer requests? I'm like, we've been sitting here for 15 minutes just chatting about whatever.
Yeah.
And now you want to ask for, like, we couldn't have asked that, like, because one guy was late and hadn't showed up yet. And then it's like, all right, then I got a Devo for us. And then I'm like, oh, golly, okay. Quick Devo. I'm definitely paying attention and writing this Devo down and applying it to heart real quick while I'm trying to just get to the songs that were, you know what? I don't know. I'm complaining, but why does everything have to be like we have a pool party at your house or we're going to have hey, everybody gather around before we jump in the pool and have these hot dogs. Let's have a quick devotion.
100% we're going to, Dusty.
I've been reading today in the book of Genesis because our
James.
church just been, the leaders of the church right now are going through the book of Genesis together.
But if it's at my house, we're doing James.
And I'm reading through the book of James, and before we all gather together, if you guys can be quiet over there real quick, quiet your kids down. Who invited kids? Do we have childcare here? Is there no childcare? Okay. Anyways,
why you sound like Boomhauer?
I want to give you my 2 cents. I don't know. I'm getting
we finished King of
Queens.
No, not King of Queens.
King of the Hill.
We finished that series, Dusty. You can leave the Boomhauer out.
But it's always like we don't start those kind of things like that. I got off the whole soapbox on that. I just wanted to say, like hanging out with your house church people in a casual setting that doesn't have to be like this over spiritual thing. You're just doing life together and just hanging out together. Maybe go to the movie together or something. Just something like more than just. Especially, I
wouldn't say use that to substitute Sunday church.
I'm not saying to substitute. I'm saying to balance because not everybody. Because most likely every week, somebody in your group is going to be gone, just like house church.
Yeah, I mean,
everybody takes turns missing.
You exactly just described house church, except instead of doing a Devo, you're doing something that quote unquote is fun. Now, to some people, Devos are fun.
I will say that my pastor Rusty Gunn and your pastor Rusty Gunn read a book once that was talking about how a fishing group could technically be a house church.
Yeah, we're two or three.
Well, it was more of like people who have the same interests doing the same things. Why can't it just be like, why do you have, because that was back at like we were doing Purpose Driven Life where you're like, we're forcing people who have not the same interest and are not the same age to like be in the same group together. And it was like, you can learn much from the old people. And it's like, well, this was written by an old person, so I can see why you say that.
They didn't say you can learn from the young people though.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just talking about how like a running group could be a small group, could be a house church. Maybe not because we define house church differently than a small group. And I guess that the book was talking about small groups, but
yeah, because you have a meal with your house church.
And it's at a house.
I mean, it doesn't have to be at a house.
What about the house churches that have it at the church?
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It doesn't have to be. I mean, we used to have ours at the Vets That Matter building. Mm-hmm. We got together, we had a meal, and we met.
Anyways, soapbox there. Golly, I don't know how much of that I'm going to keep in.
All of it.
All I was just trying to say, man, was you can still be you can be friends with your house church. How about that? You can be friends with your house church people and not have to be churchy.
I'm going to plead the fifth.
Then you might be in the wrong house church. I don't know. You can't be friends. You don't have to be friends with everybody in your house church.
Okay. That, yes.
Because you don't get to choose who's in your house church. You're not the leader.
Even the leader doesn't really get to choose.
Well, you could enforce. You can be like, well, you'd really fit in with this house church over here. They accept everybody.
And that's how we get so many people at our house church.
Yeah. That you couldn't, like my house church is big enough that we can take turns missing and there's still enough people to have a decent discussion
this past week, the only people who were at our house church that are there every week, Rusty. Well, and Rusty's not even there every week. It was just me and my wife. That's it. Now Rusty was there. And then we had 3 new people that Rusty had invited. There were 6 of us, but only 2 of us show up every week.
And then you're like, oh, you're really not doing life together. You're just meeting and having a Bible study.
Yeah, well, I'm not putting that in the podcast.
All right, well, I don't know where this went, but
it went a lot of directions and nowhere we wanted it.
That's my fault, to be honest. I had a beginning of discussion in my head, but I had no idea of where I wanted it to go. I was just hoping it would get there. And
Maybe we should meet on Thursdays, Dusty.
So summer, go to church, go to a mission trip / vacation.
No, I think that was part of the don't do.
Oh,
don't miss church. No,
we were just saying like.
Oh yeah, these were
on
reasons.
The things that are negotiable. Try to make it a.
We're negotiating God now.
On the things on the things that make sense. Obviously, you're going to go on mission trips with the church. They're funding it. They're like telling you to do it. They're not funding it. But
I was going to say, I've never been on a mission trip where
go to church camp, volunteer at church camps. Do those things. But if you're just sitting at home because it's hot outside, save that for winter when you stay home because it's cold and
guess
icy.
what? The church is AC'd and the church is heated. So if it's hot outside, it's not hot at the church. Actually, it could be if the AC's down. But come to church anyways, people. Stop missing. Stop making excuses.
Stop missing. Make a decision
to not miss.
What was Rusty's saying? Don't put God first. Put God only this summer. And make sure that everything that you're doing relies around putting God only.
I don't know what this was.
I don't know. I'm doing all these weird
guys.
gestures.
We gotta do a podcast so you can watch or a video of YouTube so you can watch Dusty's hand gestures because I have no idea where he's going with his hand gestures alone. This podcast.
Well, we stand up when we talk, so I'm like walking all over the place anyway. So I can't do a video. I have to do a tracking camera. Well, thanks for liking and subscribing, and hopefully after this podcast episode, you'd listen again.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys come back next week.
All righty.
Have a good one.
Nope.
Take it easy.